morning, everybody from the Ben Thomas Show. How are you guys doing? Thank you for being here on the first official episode of the Nut Yard Open Mic. Um, just gotten this started, today because, to be honest, as you guys saw last night, there was like three pieces of new news. I haven't even had a chance to cover the Hobie Spider-Man either. I haven't had a chance to talk about Galen Erso. Jazz Inc. talked about the Batman. I'm like, oh my god, there's so many cool things, and not enough time in the day for me to make like 6 different separate videos. And so I thought I'd jump on, talk to you guys a little bit today in the chat, and then go through some of the figures, get your take. Let me know how you guys think of these as I go along. Apologize, I look a little bit tired. It was a late night last night and early morning this morning, but for the 15, 20 folks that are already here, hell yeah. Let's jump into the Nut Yard. It's a work in progress intro, but we'll see how she goes. Let's see who is here with us already today. We got Field Vern in the chat. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. X-Men Supreme, Mr. Dave. Love to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here, of course. Christopher, Let's Get Nuts. Yeah, it's a variant, 100%. A lot less official than Let's Get Nuts. Let's Get Nuts takes me about 5 hours a weekend to set up, whereas I did this on the fly last night in bed. Andreas IB, good to see you here, buddy. Thanks for being here, of course. Sith Scale Collector. Mr. Mike, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you here this morning. And, of course, Tijuana Mike, a.k.a. King Churro. Good to see you here, buddy. Thanks for being here, guys. And we'll say hi to more folks as they roll in. Make sure you say hi in the chat, guys. These shows are all about interaction, so any thoughts you think of, if you think there's things you want to share with regards to the figures, please put it in the chat. If there is time, I'll certainly talk about it. So I want to talk about the Galen Erso first. So today's kind of, as I said, today's kind of breakdown of the show. We're going to talk about Galen. We're going to talk about that Spider-Man. We're going to talk about the Ironman. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to talk about the Deadpool. I may still do a this or that video on Deadpool because I have a feeling people are going through that calculus in their mind as well. But let's take a look here. Let's see. I'm just minimizing some screens here for you guys. Okay, Galen Erso is up. I've not had a chance to look at this. So this is, of course, a Japan exclusive Galen Erso. Now, this is interesting because I thought we would see Galen a little bit sooner. Galen had been teased, geez, it's got to be like 6 months ago now, maybe even longer. But basically just like a shadowy representation of him, right? And I honestly thought we'd see him sooner, and I think he was worth the wait. Now, with it being a Japan exclusive, of course, sounds like you need to be at Star Wars Celebration to actually pick this up. But that to me is a reminiscent of the churro Spider-Man. Do you guys remember the churro Spider-Man? Where like the special accessory was that churro? I've never even had a churro. I don't think they have them in Canada, or if they do, they don't share them very well. The churro Spider-Man was a big thing. He went on the aftermarket like crazy. People were 3D printing these churros to get them to people like crazy. And then what did Hot Toys do? They gave us a standard version without the churro, and I think without the backpack or something like that. But it wouldn't be surprising to me if Galen does exactly the same thing at some point. So if you guys are feeling like, you're huge Star Wars fans, and you're really frustrated by the fact that this might not actually be able to come to your collection, I would say don't fret quite yet. If they've put the money into the likeness, be kind of surprised if they don't give us something else at the very least. And he said at least 3 looks from what we've seen. There's this kind of dry look. There's like the look with him standing in the rain, with him having a slightly different uniform from my recollection, and then of course the long-haired farmer look version as well, which, I mean, I don't know if there's a cooler representation. To be honest, this one wouldn't be for me, with the exception of the fact that it's exclusive. I think that's the kind of the most exciting part. I do think the likeness is really good, but it's interesting, like we hear collectors talk about lighting, we hear collectors talk about camera angles and YouTubers and all the things. And sometimes it's like a hot button topic, you get pissed off because you're like, oh, it's not the lighting, it's actually like not a good likeness. I think in this particular set of circumstances, this is absolutely angle if you're feeling like some of these sculpts are not, or like some of these sculpt angles aren't quite on. Because to be honest, like this one, I don't think it looks like him very much. It's super weird. But then, like even that one, I don't think looks like him all that well. But then you get into these like closer up angles, and it definitely kind of looks like him. So it is a weird it's a weird figure. He looks like he's wearing a Star Trek uniform too. And like I know that might be sacrilegious. I'm a Star Trek guy though. It does kind of remind me of Kirk's outfit from one of the films. See, this to me looks just like Galen, like that angle right there. So of course it has to be the head tilt forward. You see more of the wrinkles and bags under his eyes. The stubble looks fantastic. I love that there's some graying in the stubble. That's pretty wild. And honestly, hair sculpting nowadays is freaking crazy. But like I said, guys, it wouldn't be surprising to me if we get a standard version of this that's more of a wide release. Maybe like, can you imagine if it just like doesn't come with the hologram Death Star or something? Like that's the only piece that's missing, and it's like, hey, now it's standard. I could kind of see it. I'm not gonna lie. Mitchell Lauren says this figure is cool, but it's bare boned. Yeah, like that's a good point too. They couldn't cut much out of it in order to make it a standard release, right? So, and to be honest, of all these like little plastic holograms that I now have floating around in my display, I kind of like the Death Star the most. Because it is reminiscent of like the film. It also like it's a cool little piece. All the other holograms I never display them. They always just kind of stay in the box. They feel like wasted accessory to me. Rolling eyes, I think, should be standard on every figure now, so I think that that's sweet that it comes with it. I love that it shows the shoes. I know our buddy Brother Cousins is always like, shoes and boots are not an accessory. They keep throwing these in there. So, of course, they know it's bare bones, too, when they do this, folks. Right? You can tell. So, no doubt, no doubt. Mike says, Sith Scale Collector says, wrinkles, bags under eyes, gray beard. Thought you were talking about me. Jude, are you seeing this right now? I didn't have a chance to put my my beard dye in, so it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Nanjin is Taylor. He got it done in Federation territory. It does look like Kirk's uniform a little bit, right? Like I'm not wrong. So King Dingaling, hey buddy, how's it going, man? Good to see you here. You know what? As I said, this is, I mean, obviously a skip for me. I'm not going to Japan to try and pick this thing up, and there's no way in hell I'm going to pay the wild aftermarket prices to try and pick them up. I loved Rogue One. It's actually, in my opinion, one of my favorite Star Wars films of all time, next to the original trilogy. Like, it's a fantastic movie. But I don't feel like I need it. I'm still kind of holding out hope that we see like an Andor from the Andor series. Oh, or even a Cassian literally from Rogue One. I think that would be cool. I wouldn't be totally surprised if we saw a new Jyn Erso 2.0. I know that's sacrilegious for some folks out there because she's very much a Grail status now. But like we've talked about, Hot Toys won't let anybody have Grails anymore. Like they want a piece of the pie. They want a slice of that cake. And so, for sure. This or that, yeah, I may do a this or that on the Deadpool later if I have got time today. But today is a wild day for work. I'm gonna be working until like 7 o'clock tonight. So this was my only opportunity to talk to you guys. For the 25 folks here watching live already, dude, guys, thank you so much for being here. If you don't mind, hit the like button. I'm just trying to get this particular like set of live streams trending for folks so that they see them when they pop up. So if you don't mind, that'd be awesome. All right, let's take a look at this Spider-Man. So I loved Spider-Man, the game, the Sony game, the first game and the second game. The first game still, in my opinion, I think is a better story overall, but I loved in the second game being able to control the Venom. I liked the story around Venom, even though I don't like totally what they did with the character. I know a lot of you guys just got that huge 21 inches of Venom in your collection. I watched Brick Artemis talk about his. Shout out to Brick. I think he's in the chat right now. What's up? Yeah, he's in the chat right now. Yeah, I watched your video, dude. That was a great video. That was a great video. Sorry, I'm by myself. I need a sip of coffee, guys. ASMR drinking. Love to see it. That was a great video. For me, though, I will say... Oh, Jose... Last but not least, man, you know, don't worry about it. You know, you gotta save the best for last. Good to see you, bud. Fine, don't say hi to me, Ben. Big rib, as Dean would say. What's up, Ben? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Thanks for joining in, guys. Yeah, you know what? I liked this game a lot. I actually even really liked this suit a lot. So this comes from, of course, the inspiration from his Uncle Aaron. As you progress through the game, you get to do some of the Uncle Aaron missions that then unlock this suit. And in the game, it's actually like it's really cool to play with. It looks really sleek and like dangerous and badass. Green is my favorite color. Green and purple, you can never go wrong with it. Purple Rain, I love to see that, of course, as well. But with it being also kind of an exclusive, and so many of us having so many Spider-Mans, I don't know if this is the one that most folks will get. I'd be surprised. Let me know, guys, in the chat. Are you picking this one up? It's hard for me to make polls at the same time that I'm the only one chatting, but it does look pretty good. The material on it also looks pretty fantastic. Like, especially up under the arm there. Like, look at the flexibility of the suit without bunching. I think that looks pretty decent. Um, the weird part for me on this one is I was like, oh man, like those eyes are really like slender and sleek and dangerous looking. But they don't come with any swap out eyepieces, at least from the master slide. So this is kind of what you're stuck with, and in terms of the eyepieces. And for me, I've always really liked the broader eyes on a Spider-Man. I don't know about you guys, but I always think that that looks cooler. Now, it has been admittedly a little while since I've played the game, so I don't remember if he had more expressive eyepieces in the game at the time, or if they were also pretty sleek and slender. Kind of dangerous. Brick says he's 50-50 on this one. Akira, whoa, catching Ben live, UK here. Yeah, it's pretty early in the morning here. I'm trying to get this accomplished before I go to work because I've got like probably a 10-hour day ahead of me, and I didn't know if I'd be able to stream later. And there's like so many cool shit, there's so many cool figures, coming out. So I'm glad you guys are here. Hell yeah to the UK. Mitchell Laura says Spider-Man suit does look cool. I think that the calculus that I have though is like there's so many things that look cool now. Like every figure that comes out is objectively cool as hell. And so I have to like not to be a Shane from 1 6 Figure Focus. Shout out to Shane, awesome dude. But like he's got his rules, right? It's got like the triple threat. He has to love the film or the franchise. He has to love the character. He has to love the outfit, and then maybe I'll consider it. I think those rules are good rules to kind of live by in a lot of ways, because in the last year I've sold more figures than any year previous. And not because I even fell out of love with those characters, but because either 2.0s were coming, or I'm anticipating 2.0s coming, or honestly, I decided I'd bought based on FOMO, I'd bought based on, oh, it looks cool, and then something else that I want more that looks cooler comes, and I'm like, now I want that slot. And I've never felt great about putting figures in the closet, like back in the box and just holding them for a future day when I have a bigger display, which nothing wrong with that. I just feel like it's like me putting money in the closet, whereas I'd rather use that money to fund, more collectibles or something else that I'm going to actually have on display. Right now I'm doing this calculus of should I sell my Terminator, because I've got those other Terminators coming. Should I sell, what other ones was I thinking about selling? Oh, I was thinking about selling my Sideshow Crow because of that caustic plastic one. I'm thinking about selling my Daredevil and my Punisher because I'm confident they're going to give us some of those. It's weird being in the collecting hobby for that, but for this figure, I'm like, is it one of those ones that I'm just like, yeah, it's cool, but as soon as I put it in the display, I'll love it until something else that I want more comes along and I want that slot, and then it'll sell? For me, it's probably a yes, so I would have to skip it. Now, for the Brick Artemises of the world, who are big, Spider-Man fans, I can see why you'd want to put this in. It definitely stands out, especially against the blue and the red looks and all of that. So, Cylon, nice to have you on this early in the morning. You too, buddy. Good to see you. Speaking of Cylons, I wanted to get Battlestar Galactica on Blu-ray because in Canada, for whatever reason, our streaming services suck and I can't find it anywhere on streaming. And it's been probably 10 years since I've watched Battlestar, and one of my favorite shows of all time. And so I was gonna buy the box, the Blu-ray box set on Amazon, and it was like $110 or something. And I was like, screw it. I'm gonna look at Facebook Marketplace first before I place the order. And there was a lady and her husband selling the Blu-ray box set of every season of Battlestar Galactica. I'm not even kidding, for $20. And so I messaged her frantically and I was like, dude, like, is is it $20 per, or is it $20 for the whole thing? And she's like, oh, $20 for the whole thing. I'm like, I'm gonna come right now. No, like, not in a gross way. Like, I'm gonna travel to see you and pick that up. So now I've got Battlestar Galactica on Blu-ray for $20 freaking dollars, and I just need to find time to actually watch it. But if you guys haven't watched Battlestar Galactica, definitely should check that out. It's an old show now, but it's a good one. He's selling that Daredevil figure to me. Jose Plus. Yeah, I could put I could put it up for bid, or I could make it even a channel member giveaway. If you guys would think that was fair, or something along those lines. Need a Cylon figure? Hell yeah, dude. They're a cool design. So okay, is there any other pictures that we missed on this one? Let's see. Combinable attack effect accessories. Do you guys use these accessories? Let me know in the chat. Do you guys use these types of things? Do they stay in the box for you? I think the only figure that I have like an accessory like that, I don't know, two. I guess two. I've got my Loki holding his like green flames like this, which is kind of cool. Looks good. And I've got my Scarlet Witch from Multiverse of Madness with her legs crossed, floating, holding like a ball of her like red flame, which also looks cool. Looks like she's like summoning it. But I don't think, yeah, no, I haven't used the effect pieces on literally any other figure that I've got. This is what this figure comes with. It comes with the standard web accessories. Man, they're getting a little bit boring now. I mean, man, I can't even imagine how many webs Brick Artemis has in his collection at this point. Like, Jesus, you need to see it. The base is basic. I don't use bases in my display. I try to stay away from them a little bit. Collecting Weekly is here. Love to see it. Good to see you in the morning. My friend 16fix as well. Marco is in the chat. I need to get that Marco clip that Zach has for sure. He says, Brick Artemis says, I guess my Electro has his effects. That's it. You know what? If you were going to have one that has effects on it, that's a good one. That's a good one. Mike said I had to be here. You bastards. I didn't even post this up in my Instagram. I actually ran out of time this morning. So the fact that there's already 35 to 40 people here watching, I freaking love you guys. I love you guys. Yomo, good to see you here, man. It's been a while. I hope your little one is doing well. He's probably getting pretty big already. Time goes by very, very quickly. Mitchell Lawrence says, my favorite sci-fi TV show, Star Trek? Hell yeah. Stargate, SG-1? Hell yes. Babylon 5, I never got into Babylon 5. I will admit that was one that maybe I just wasn't old enough when it was out. I'm not too sure, but that was one that just never hit for me. Farscape was great. Andromeda was great. Yeah, Babylon 5 was the only one that I would say was not for me. But I mean, hell yeah, sci-fi TV, dude. I grew up on that. My mom is often in the chat on Let's Get Nuts Sundays. I definitely attribute my nerdiness to her, as well as my love of like collecting and toys. Every Christmas she would buy me toys for Christmas, which was some of my favorite Christmases of all time. I still remember opening up Power Rangers back in the day, and Batmans and Ninja Turtles, and like, oh, it was awesome. Spider-Mans, all the things. SG Collectibles here. Good morning, collectors. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here on the Nut Yard, our show where we have open mic, me just shooting the shit with you guys, looking at some cool stuff. A little less scripted than normal. Let's move on to the next one. This is cool, but to be honest, I don't think I will pursue that one either. Let's see, we got, ooh, okay. Kind of want to leave the Deadpool for last. Do you think we should leave the Deadpool for last? Yeah, let's leave the Deadpool for last. I love how I'm asking you like you guys can immediately answer the question. Hate to see it. Okay, let's look at this fractal armor. Fractal Iron Man. Wow, that's a hard thing to say. Fractal armor Iron Man. Oh, man. I mean, it does look beautiful. I will say. It is die cast. Good to see. The light up features are great. Iron Man 2 is, in my opinion, an underrated comic book film at this point. Back when it first came out, everybody was like, oh, this movie was terrible and all the things. I still think it's a lot of fun to watch that one. The Mark IV, eh? I mean, for me, the Mark III, I think, is my favorite set of armor next to the Mark VII. Mark IV, I do know a lot of folks really, really like, and I know a lot of folks really like the Mark V. I mean, they're all great suits for different reasons. One of the things that I still like about the Mark IV suit is that it still looks more like the kind of like the mechanized version of the Iron Man suit. As soon as they started getting into like nanotechnology and kind of the more sleek look for the suit, it lost it for me a little bit. I thought it was less cool. It always felt like more like CGI monster-esque. Whereas whenever they were like the older school mechanized look, again like the Mark III, 4, 7, that like tank Iron Man, that's where I think it's the coolest. The paint job on this thing is really freaking cool. Like I can imagine under lighting, similar to what I have, where I can change this lighting any color I want. I can have them rotate. I can have them on just bright white display if I want to. This will look different in literally every lighting type. So that is also very, very cool. Also, by the way, guys, I did pull up Sideshow. I didn't see any pricing for any of these yet. Let me just double check this one. I don't think I checked this one. Fractal. Let's see if anything is there. No, I don't see anything up yet, which is surprising because Sideshow lately has actually been really, really quick on the draw, getting that going. Field of Burn says, I don't have an MCU Iron Man, but I want this. It is so pretty, dude. It is really freaking pretty. What is your favorite suit, though? Field of Burn, let me know. What's your favorite mark? Polygon Man. Yeah, right. It's true. It's like you're looking at a PlayStation 2 game before it's fully rendered, like the Cybertruck. 100%. I do like the base. I like the lit up base that they've done. Like they've done this style of base now a couple times, but I do think that looks pretty freaking cool. Now, let me see. I want to get to more of a figure description really quickly. Oh, they don't have it on Facebook or on Sideshow yet. Let me just check this before we keep going through the photos, guys. Curious. New LED crafted helmet, chest, arc reactor palms, removable. Wanted to see if it was USB connected. This is limited quantity to 3,000 units, so if you're an Iron Man collector, I'm sure you'll try to go in on this one. 3,000 is actually still a pretty large amount, considering, right? I mean, when we were talking about that Galen Urso earlier, that was a, what was it, a 1,500? 1,500 people? Come on, that's real low. 3,000 isn't terrible. Damn it, I was hoping to see USB, because that would be definitely an indication of what we might be able to expect from the future, right? What do you think the price point on something like this is going to be? Because, I mean, these die-cast Ironmans, I feel like they kind of range somewhere between, geez, on the low side, probably 380 to 450, somewhere in that range. It's always hard for me to convert it to US dollars in my mind, because whenever I get it in Canada, it's significantly higher in price, plus customs and shipping and all the stuff. So my Mark 7, I think for that one, it cost something just side of like $600 to get it in hand at the time, which at the time was my most expensive figure I'd ever purchased. At the time, I had to tell I pulled the collector thing. I told the ex that I won it on a giveaway. Guess I couldn't justify the price. No wonder I ended up single. You hate to see it. Special fractal armor design with metallic iridescent finish. Pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It is pretty. I just think you got to be a hardcover Iron Man to go after some of these, or like the exclusivity of it, right? So if it had been USB, I think that would have been very cool. At the same time, it would have made me nervous, because everybody who has a whole collection of Iron Men, who deal with either getting those fusion reactors for their figures, or deal with putting the batteries in, oh my god, that would be pretty brutal. Marco says, does it say diecast? It does say diecast on the bottom left corner there. I think the nanotech are mostly plastic, but I could be wrong if it's similar. I mean, let's be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of this was painted plastic. I do wish when they gave diecast figures that they would give the map of where the diecast pieces are. Not only do I think that that's cool to see kind of the construction of the figure itself, but it's also kind of nice to figure out what you're paying for, because I think when they do call it diecast like this, it does feel a little false advertising. When you first pick it up in hand, there's some cold pieces that are cold to the touch, and it feels naturally a little heavy. I don't know if you guys have non-collectors ever come into your collection rooms, but the one figure that I'll typically hand somebody if I want to kind of show the value of a figure is an Ironman, right? Is my Mark 7, because it's a beast. It's heavy in hand, it's cold to the touch, it creaks when you hold it. And it feels expensive, right? For me, I don't know if you guys are the same way. For me, like, weight determines determines like value. If it's heavier, it feels like it's more expensive. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing, but I don't know. We'll see. Marco says reading is not a strength. Don't worry about it. That's why I'm here for you. Don't worry about it. I'll read it for you, man. It's good. It's good. Let's see if there's any more pictures. I mean, the power pose is pretty good. It's cool to see that these can get into some of these poses even still. I just, like, the way they light this up is so beautiful, right? The way that they light up the arc reactor and the eyes, it just looks so good. Like, they need to find a way to make these lit up permanently, even if it's not USB running to the figure, but USB running to the base, right? Like, if it was some kind of form of like a magnetic chargeable base that once the figure is standing on it, then it comes to light. That would be when I would 1000% use bases, because, like, my Iron Man just looks like it's turned off all the time, and yeah, I mean, for me that sucks just a little bit. Collecting Willie says, I am very valuable because you're heavy. Fair. You are valuable to me, man. You are valuable to me, man. 100%. I won't try and lift you though. That's the way she goes. So for this one, this feels like another example of, it's cool. If there was nothing else coming out, if collectors were ready to spend some money, there's always those lulls in the year where you're like, you start feeling the itch to spend some money, and maybe I'll get something cool, maybe I'll get something unique, something I never thought I'd get before. This, I think, would classify for that, or if you're a hardcore Iron Man fan. But otherwise, I also think it's a pass for me. So that's, like, of the 4 figures that we're probably going to talk with today, for the most part, maybe 5. It's beautiful, but it's also a pass. Let me know, guys, in your comments here, if that one's going to be a pass for you. Let's see here. What else do we got? Okay. Let's see this one here. We're going to look at Deadpool still, the battling version, and then I might pull up the Jazz Inc. Animated Batman, because I definitely have some thoughts on that one as well. All right. So it says here, Deadpool and Wolverine, blah, blah, blah. I'm just seeing here if there's anything that calls it specifically. Faithful recreation of Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool's appearance, long-awaited 1/6 figure, highly anticipated, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Okay. Well, let's look at the pictures, because the description is boring. The battling damaged version. So it's weird to me. I feel like they mixed this shit up. I feel like the clean version should have come with the claws and the metal skeleton. And pretty much everything that you see in this photo. The clean version, right? Because you think the very first scene of that film, it is him doing, like, activity, fighting scene, dancing, all the things. That Bye 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 song is still stuck in my head. I hate to see it. But, like, these are the bits and bobs that should have come with the clean version. When he steps out of the out onto the snow and battles all the TVA agents, I think that would have hit a little harder. But of course, I think that they were in a rush to get a figure out that was kind of aligned with the film. And to be honest, even though the accessories don't necessarily totally make sense for that first version, the clean look, because, like, for example, he doesn't ever carry Deadpool baby around. Headpool is like a tertiary character, but it's kind of more in the background. Like, he never really interacts all that much with him. Some of those pieces were cool to have, but not necessary, in my opinion. Whereas people were going out of their way to get these types of pieces, like 3D printed or custom made. I know our friend Collector Joey, I think he got the skeleton made. I mean, it looks freaking cool, the adamantium look to the bones and everything. But I think that Hot Toys was in a rush to get a figure out that was aligned with the film, and probably similar to that Inside Out suit Spider-Man we saw that one time from No Way Home, where everybody's like, oh, that's cool, like, we're getting a figure from the movie, like, as the movie releases, and then it turned out that figure was like entirely wrong, like the design was off. I feel like the Deadpool was another example of that. So I've got the standard version, or like the clean version of this from this film, and it actually made me sell the Deadpool 2 that I had. I loved that Deadpool 2 figure, but like I was shocked how much better this new one was. I've got a video up on the channel when I reviewed it, so if you're interested. Most of you have probably already seen it, to be honest. I think that one did really, really well for reviews, but um, the battle damage one I think should have come with the golden guns. Like it should have been reversed. Now let's see here. The rolled up mask does look pretty freaking cool too. The avocado head, like, okay. As a collector, I'm like, who displays my figures, right? And I try to swap the heads out quite a bit. I try to give my figures multiple looks. There are some in my collection that will stand there for months and months and months and months, and I never change anything. And then there are some that I consistently change. We got 1/6 scale man here in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. Just need a Ben Richards multiverse figure. 100%. Look at the gray, dude. It's wild. It's wild. But yeah, there are figures that I'll swap the head sculpt out for often. I never liked the way he looked with this sculpt. I just never liked it. But I also think it would be cool to have like a Ryan Reynolds likeness in the display. But you can't really use this for anything else. Like, unless you wanted to create, so if you wanted to have this, maybe you don't have the clean version, you want the Deadpool sculpt on it, like the masked version, or the rolled up mask version with him, with his bottom cheeks hanging out. You could always put this, I guess, on a, like a custom figure that you make, a kit bash, something along those lines. Get him his pajamas, or his leisure suit or something along those lines for when he's like hanging out at home. But I feel like you'd have to be a pretty big fan. Now, I know our buddy X-Men Supreme, this is his favorite film, so maybe all looks of Deadpool would be something that he needs to bring in. But Mark P says, buying Hot Toys figures is like buying stocks. Buying, sell. Yeah, 100%. I don't feel tempted to necessarily sell my current one. I really like that version of the figure. I really wish they'd been able to give us like a deluxe version that kind of came with a little bit of both. Like swap out battle damage bits, a head sculpt, the metal endoskeleton, make it a crazy price deluxe, but then give it all to us. Now, I mean, Hot Toys is a toy company by nature. So they need to make money. So we know that they're never going to do that anymore. They're going to drain us dry. The weathering on this is freaking wild, though, I will say. Like, they dirtied it up really, really nicely. The clean version is just that. It's very clean. It looks like he's picking his chin in this picture. It's kind of gross. Look at that. Ew. But the way that they've folded up the mask like that to make it look like real material, that's pretty cool. That's cool. I can't think of another... I don't think I can think of another figure that has a folded up mask like that. Maybe one of the Spidermans, the Tom Hollands. I think there was a Tom Holland that had the mask rolled up. Let me know, guys, if I'm right on that one. I think that's the only other one that I can think of. Lael says they need to finish the Resistance line. Yeah, they do, man. They absolutely do. I can't wait to see Elektra. I was saying to the chat on Tuesday the other day that I just recently went to Amazon and bought the Blu-ray version of the director's cut of the original Daredevil film with Ben Affleck. And man, Jennifer Garner in that film, heart-stopping. She's so beautiful and badass. And I honestly, she was badass in Deadpool and Wolverine too. Still beautiful, still a kick-ass lady. She'd be awesome to have. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Yes, it was Miles from Across the Spider-Verse figure. I thought it was a Spider-Man for sure. And the Tom Holland had it rolled up on his head. Yes, right. It was like up on the top piece. Yes. I never got that one, but that would have been cool. But yeah, Jennifer Garner needs to come, or Elektra needs to come. Gambit we still need to see. I'll be curious to see if he looks like a sausage in his figure format as well, or if they slim him down a little. They can't slim him down. If you want film accuracy, he has to look like he's been freaking stuffed. into that costume. So 100%. Guys, we have almost 50 people watching live for this impromptu open mic this morning. So if you don't mind, hit the like button. Whether you're on your way in or on your way out, I would certainly appreciate it. This figure line is getting to be a very, very extensive line, though. A very, very extensive line. And what I will say is that Deadpool and the Wolverine are the two that I'm most excited to have. I'm really excited to get Wolverine in the collection. I got the clean version. Still remains to be seen about that, what has everybody been calling him? Like the undressed Wolverine, where he's like shirtless. But then there was that speculation when they showed it recently that, oh, maybe you won't be able to actually open up the shirt. Maybe it'll only be like the button, kind of like I have right now, where his chest is popping out. If they screw that finger up, if they screw that figure up by not being able to make him like shirtless and show the body off, collectors need to riot. I think that's horrible and false advertising. Anybody who paid a deposit on that, I think, should get their NRD back if that jacket does not come off and look as good on that body as it's supposed to. Thirst trap Wolverine. that's what people were calling it, for sure. Mitchell Lawrence says Jennifer Garner from Alias. Ooh, Alias was a badass show, man. Hell yes, good call. Look at the Wolverine skeleton here. I expected it to be a little bit more shiny. Not to be critical, but it is adamantium after all. That shit was pretty shiny in the film. I'm surprised that it's not a little bit more shiny. It almost looks a little more matte painted. But the illuminated TVA portal, I do think, is a cool feature with this figure as well. I love the claws that you can add onto them. It's just that so many collectors have gone the custom route and already got these pieces picked up. So at that stage, like if you've already spent the money to go the custom route and actually get these accessories in your display and on your clean Deadpool, which is, again, in my opinion, where it belongs. Do you go after this figure really because otherwise it's just battle damaged and because it's got the head sculpt? I think a lot of people will say yes to that. I think a lot of people will say no. If you guys want, I'm going to try and create a poll really, really quickly. While I'm making the poll, guys, tell me what your thoughts are here on the Deadpool, and I will read it out loud here in 30 seconds. Let's just see here. Poll. Are you selling your clean to get this Deadpool? Or this or that. Actually, this or that. Because I'll make a this or that later. And then we can use poll results. This being battle damage, or that being clean. This or that. Let me know. And if it's both, type in the chat. Both. Let's see here. Akira says, not for me, but the battle damage and weathering looks great here. How many of you guys would use this sculpt? Definitely need Jennifer Gardner. Jeremy Benthal. If you know, you know. Okay, on one stream, one time, just in case you don't know, one time, I couldn't remember John Bernthal's name, and I was talking about him passionately because I think it's because I just got the figure. I called him Jeremy Benthal. Shit sticks with you for life, man. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. Just like how Nuts has become my entire personality. I never even liked Nuts before YouTube, you know? Other than the chocolate. Chocolate almonds are pretty good. But Andreas IB says, I've been waiting for this version. Yeah, I think a lot of us have, honestly. Especially after Ryan teased it. Again, what was that, like 6 months ago already? Like, my sense of time is maybe a little bit off. But it was at least a couple months ago that he teased it. I was expecting it to be kind of like very next day. But I wonder if they delayed it. Because they teased it virtually as collectors were getting their clean version, and to me that felt very like Chromando-y in the sense of they didn't say like, look how much better this Deadpool is, but this Deadpool also came with a lot of the things, including the head sculpt, that people had been asking for on their Deadpool for freaking years, like for years. And so you're all excited to get your new clean sparkly Deadpool in your collection. It's on the way for some of us, or maybe you just had opened it, and then they tease this other version. It's like, man. But again, it's a toy company. It is what it is. But I was expecting when they teased it, like when Ryan teased it, that it would be very much a next day pre-order, and it wasn't. It's been months, and so as a result, obviously they must have delayed it, or it just wasn't fully baked. But I do think it looks like Ryan. I will say, and you know, Ryan's going through some controversy right now with his wife. I won't speak to that necessarily because I don't know the whole story. But I know some people have fallen out of love with Ryan just a little bit. So I wonder if this will do as well as it might have before the controversy. By the way, check this out. Bucky's mug. Love to see it. What else does this guy come with? Yeah, the portal looks pretty freaking cool. What is the base he's standing on? It almost looks like, oh, okay. That's a spine in there. It almost looked like a zipper on the base. I really didn't like, by the way, the Deadpool base that came with the Deadpool Wolverine figure. It was like that, like, it was like a plastic upside down clamshell. Man, did it feel cheap. It was horrible. I just don't like it at all. Asthmatic says, looks like Sideshow is doing an RSVP like the Winter Soldier pre-order. Okay, cool. Good to know. Thanks for that, man. Definitely a good shout out there. Let's just see here. A second Deadpool takes away an open slot for something else, like another Joker. Marco doesn't need more Jokers. Don't sell the man a Joker. You hate to see it. All right, guys. Well, later I may do a this or that video on this to compare this to what you get with the other one. Great looking figure, though. If you did decide to wait, you know, I can already hear the community being like, happy I waited. I could see why. I could honestly see why. You know, even the battle damage version, or the hell did they call it back in the day? It was like the charbroiled suit from Deadpool 2, where he's like, it's like fully blacked out because of the explosion. That was a cool figure. That was a really cool figure, and it sat for a really long time. And then as soon as it completely sold out, it was actually a bit of a chase. This one is a different echelon for me of that, though. Like, that was just a kind of a variant in the film, whereas this, while it is a variant, it also is like, I feel like if you have both, I would swap the accessories around and be super happy with both looks. I just don't know what would be the definitive version, because in my opinion, he had a much more clean look throughout the whole film, but some of the accessories here are pretty peak, including that roll-up mask. Actually, I think that might be my favorite. That might actually be my favorite accessory from this, despite the Wolverine head being pretty cool and all of it. Ooh, that's just so gross to look at. It looks like a nutsack. Well, not mine, though. Mine looks much more perfect than that, just in case you guys needed to know. Overshare. Hate to see it. Okay, let's move on, guys. I'm curious to see what that'll look like in everybody's displays. Now, I wanted to quickly chat about Jazz Inc., Batman, and then we will wrap it up today. We're already 45 minutes in, guys. 40 to 50 folks watching live. Thanks for being here in the Nut Yard on an open mic with me, where I can read your questions a little bit more. And give you guys my thoughts a little bit more. Jazz Inc. has now shown us, he says, here, check out our first teaser images of the animated series Batman with fully articulated, customized, seamless body. What do you think? More pics to come in the coming weeks. So, most of you who know me well know that Batman the Animated Series is probably my favorite animated show of all time. I mean, I loved Spider-Man, I loved X-Men, I loved Gargoyles, I loved a bunch of them, Ninja Turtles, but for me, I was right at the perfect age for Batman the Animated Series. It was still cartoony enough that it drew me in from like a toy perspective and like a kid perspective, but it was dark enough in its themes that it felt more adult. It felt a little more near the mark in certain episodes, and I loved the artistic style. It was one of the first animated shows that ever, if not the first animated show ever, that was drawn on black paper. So you got really those depths of the colors, and that's why so many of the environments feel really like rich and dark and yeah, just awesome, right? And so I loved Batman the Animated Series, and one thing that I really liked was, you know, the different ways that they would draw these characters up to a certain extent and colorize them. And Batman specifically, especially in the animated series, so seasons 1 and 2. As it progressed to Adventures Continues, I liked it less, and I liked the art style less, which I think was 3 and 4, technically season 3 and 4. Season 1 and 2 for me are peak Batman animated series. I loved that there was the blue and black in there, and Jazz has done that here. You know, of course, Mondo has given us their Batman animated series figures that have like all of the joints and everything, which I just don't love. I've had that figure in hand, and I sold it because up above me here I've got the 7-inch figures, and I've got quite a few of them, and it's just kind of a slippery freaking slope for those 6 scale ones at the price point that they are, for them to really truly look like just larger representations of what I already have. So I've been really excited to see a company tackle these. Now I thought maybe Hono, and I mean maybe Hono is still planning an animated series line, which I would appreciate, because I mean, even though I've been subtly critical of some of their price points, if it was anywhere between 165 and even 195, 200, wow, that's a sweet price point and would be very competitive, I'm sure, for Jazz. Now, will Jazz do it better? Maybe. I honestly think that my first gut reaction looking at this, though, is that the body proportions feel just a little bit off. He looks almost too bulky, whereas in the animated series, he's a lot more like V-shaped. He's a lot more tapered at his waist. He's a big guy, don't get me wrong, but he never looks this jacked, in my opinion. Now, I'd be curious what you guys think of that, with regards to the stylization of the body underneath. Now, these are very early photos, so I'm, the thing that I really like about Jazz Inc., and I've never got a chance to talk to Yost in person myself, is that he really does listen to critical feedback and community feedback. I do think that seeing the musculature under the suit is really nice. I love that there's no joints and seams here. I think the figure itself does look great. I like the head sculpt. I like the way that they've shaped the cowl. I love the coloration of the cape and that subtle like blueness up on top of the cowl. Hopefully that's not just lighting. I'm hoping that that's actually like almost like a version of cell shading without it being such a like a dramatic line like cell shading happens to do, where it's like if you don't, like, yeah, it almost looks like a separate color, you know what I mean? Whereas this looks like it blends really, really nicely. The satin style looking cape, the material cape, drapes really, really beautifully. I like the Batman logo base. I mean, I like virtually all of it. I think that they just need to find a way to make his waist just a little tinier, and or make his shoulders just a little bit broader. I know that there was that S Hero one, and I thought about getting that one. Shout out to 12-inch Moose Stream. He's been telling me to get that one for a while. I just don't love it. I don't love it enough. And I know for sure that if something else comes out like this, I would have sold that one and probably taken a bath on it. So I've really held off. I've really, really held off. Akira says looks great, but depends on price. Yeah, what do you guys speculate on price with regards to the Batman here? Like, what do you think Jazz Inc. could put this out at? Because, I mean, as of right now, the Selena Kyle Catwoman is the only one that there's a pre-order actively out for. We're waiting to see what happens with Penguin, but they are actor likeness realistic, right? And so naturally their price point is going to be significantly higher. I've said many times, either behind the scenes or on record, that I have lots of faith in Jazz Inc.'s ability to create these figures, because in my opinion, they're putting their entire reputation into these figures, right? Like they already have such a great they already have such a great reputation with regards to their 6-scale vehicles. So if they couldn't pull off figures well, don't do it. Just don't sour people on you. So I feel like they got to be going in with a ton of freaking confidence on that, because otherwise it could really hurt their brand. Really quick, I'll say here, the poll just ended. We had about only 12 votes, not a crazy amount. No, 15 votes, my apologies. 60% said this being the battle damaged version. 40% said that being the clean version. So it does seem like, and that's for the Deadpool. So it does seem like people are leaning more towards the battle damage, probably because of the look and because of all those accessories that are a lot more fun to have than a baby pool. Even though, honestly, I've had fun taking pictures of the baby pool, but even still. Field of Burn says, I need animated Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn to make the Gotham Sirens. Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah. That would be awesome. X-Men says the S-Hero Batman has gorilla arms. He does, and I actually said he was almost too broad at the shoulders. It makes his head look tiny. It's kind of in a weird way. He just didn't quite hit for me, but like I like this more. This is still, in my opinion, a better representation. I just think that if they tweak the body just a little bit, I think they will nail it. Price point wise, though, Akira says he wouldn't pay more than $180 personally. I think that that's on the low side. I would expect if Mondo that are fully plastic representations are coming in at the 250 range, I would be shocked if we saw this guy from Jazz Inc. anything less than 280, which I know nobody wants, but I'd be shocked if it was. And if it was, happy to be wrong, and I will definitely do an updated thought on that. But I think with the soft touch materials, the body construction underneath, just the fact that Yoast, while they're a growing company, still isn't the size of company like a Hot Toys or Hono affiliated brand, let's be honest. I don't think that they can give it to us for that cheap. I'd be shocked. I don't think that they'd be profit in it otherwise. I don't think it would make a lot of sense. All the R&D that has to go into it. We've never seen something like this before yet, really, other than those off-brand ones. And I think that this still does look better. But Batman the Animated Series is a freaking slippery slope. Even in the 7-inch scale where these figures are kind of $30 to $40 a pop when you get them. I've got 15 up above me. So like there's a lot of money just in the 7-inch scale, or the 1/12 scale, I should say, the 7-inch figure line. If they go in on all the characters here, you're going to be spending a ton of money on these. Or at least I will be. But guys, that is it for today for my quick show. I do need to get my ass to work because I'm going to be working until 7 o'clock tonight. So I wanted to give you guys some brief thoughts on it. If you want, let me know in the chat. I might do a this or that video on Deadpool, the clean version and the battle damage version, what people want, what I think are great comparisons for the figure. It'll also depend on, again, pricing and how things look on all of the figures that we looked at today. But I'm pretty excited about it. So to the 30 to 50 people who are here watching live today, hope you enjoy the Nut Yard stream approach. I'll do this a little bit more often going forward. I'm still going to do pre-recorded videos like I normally do, especially when I have more time. But those videos usually take me at least an hour and a half to make. Whereas this, I can just jump online sometimes to give a really quick gut check. You guys get to see my genuine reaction right off the bat. Get to laugh with you guys a little bit. And then go on with my life and continue living my life. So I love you guys. Thanks so much for being here as always. Let's see here. Let's give you a rollout. To the channel members, I love you guys as well. Think about becoming a channel member, guys. Tough Nut Crew. We're going to be giving or doing more giveaways. Our last giveaway was a couple weeks ago on Let's Get Nuts. It was the Xenomorph from Hot Toys. Any money that I make from super chats or memberships go back to you guys for giveaways. So all that being said, love your faces. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. This has been Open Mic on the Nut Yard. Have a great one, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Wow, what a great one. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Subscribe and makes you feel good.
Yes, I go. What should I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's gone. It's all gone.